What's going on, everybody? I am Perry White. I'm the host of the Jaguar Journal. I want to make sure that you guys tune in live each and every Saturday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 107.3 FM. We also have our affiliates in Alexandria, Louisiana, as well as down in New Orleans. And if you're not able to catch us on radio live, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as follow us on Facebook. It's the Jaguar Journal.
Opinionated, outspoken, informative. The Jaguar Journal. Your source for the latest information on Southern University sports and SWAC athletics. A Baton Rouge sports talk tradition.
All right, bright and early on a Saturday morning, it is the Jaguar Journal. I am Perry White. Good morning to everybody out there. Beautiful Saturday. Beautiful, beautiful. Did I say Sunday morning, Saturday morning? I said Saturday. It's the weekend. It don't matter. Just know y'all have worked today. And this is, oh, man, look. Football all across Baton Rouge today. The LSU taking on my home state, Arkansas. The Jaguars, the Southern taking on Texas Southern. And Southern is trying to avoid something that has not happened since 1949. Let's go winless at home through a football season. It's going to be interesting in terms of the Jaguars today. Can they eliminate that threat of possibly doing something since 1949? And that's not winning a game at home. So hope everybody's having a great week. I got an action-packed show lined up for you guys today. Plenty of guests to talk about some different things. And as you know, of course, Bayou Classic is right around the corner. Not only is the Bayou Classic right around the corner, Southern University basketball has a game tonight directly after the football game. If you didn't know, now you know. Don't say you didn't know. That's why I come on this radio. I'm supposed to let you know. Southern has a men's basketball game directly after today's football game against Texas Southern. So if you're on the bluff today and you don't have nothing to do after the football game, you say, hey, let's go over to the basketball, the mini dome, and check out a little men's basketball and see what they're looking like. And Coach Kevin Johnson is going to join us here on the show a little bit later. Of course, my boy Blue, Zach McKinnell, is going to be joining me talking about some FCS football. We're going to look at the Southern and Texas Southern matchup and recap what's going on around the SWAC. Man, I watched a hell of a game last night between North Carolina Central and South Carolina State. Of course, both head coaches, former coordinators here at Southern University. Trey Oliver, the head coach at North Carolina Central, was the defensive coordinator at Southern. And, of course, Chennis Berry, offensive line coach as well as offensive coordinator here at Southern, head coach at South Carolina State. Man, a hell of a game. Very entertaining. And let me entertain you guys by taking a break right now. When we come back, we'll continue more of the Jaguar Journey. You guys stay tuned, all right? right, everybody, we're back more the Jaguar Journal. Good morning to everybody. I am Perry White. Glad to have you guys with us as we continue the show today. Got a special guest here on the show. He's no stranger, and he's the head women's soccer coach over at Southern University, my man, Coach Jeremy Funno. Good morning, Coach Funno.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing good, man. How about yourself?
Man, I'm doing great. Blessed to see another year. My birthday today.
Happy birthday, man.
Man, appreciate it.
What we doing today? What we turning up at?
Oh, man, we're going to be on campus all day. I'm going to tailgate. The girls going with the team. We're going to tailgate with the team, and we're just going to be on campus all day.
Man, no better way than to celebrate a birthday than with the Jaguars tailgate. That's the ultimate birthday right there, where your birthday falls on a Saturday during football season and you able to tailgate. I'm so jealous, man. I'm in December. I'm at the end of the year. Unless we're in a SWAC championship, it'd be over with for me tailgating for my birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about it. You're talking about another year, and you've wrapped up another year with the young ladies over at Southern. You guys came up short in the SWAC tournament, but nonetheless, Grambling goes on to win the entire thing. But talk about, let's recap the 2025 Southern University women's soccer season. You guys won the SWAC championship last year and represented the SWAC in the NCAA tournament. And now this year you come back in, but it's a rebuild, sort of say, year for you.
Yeah, it was a rebuild, but we still felt like we had the players to get us back there. We just got caught up in a few injuries that we definitely feel like we get some of those players back next year. You can't when you putting a group together, you don't count the injuries, but you know those things happen. So it was just one of those years that hit us.
Let's go through it. Talk to me about some of the young ladies on the team this year, some newcomers to being part of the program to rebuild what you come off of that SWAC championship in 2024.
You had Tiana McDonald. She came in early in the season strong, really ready. Then probably in the middle of the season, right before we got in the conference, she was hurt and hurt her tibia. So she was out for the season, but that was a big part. 3-hour freshmen came in real strong. And, this is a world where we talk about transfers a lot, and you don't want to run away from the freshmen, and you always want to build them up. But these young ladies came in, and one of them actually, Francesca, she actually started every game except one, I think. No, she actually started every game. She played every minute except one game that we had took out a little early. She had a lot of experience. She did a lot for us at our center back. I think in the next couple of years she's going to be able to control that back line for us and the defense to be able to communicate a lot. And then you got Dayla. She's another freshman that came in, high school teammate with Fran. She came in and gave us a lot of excitement on offense, but with our injuries, we had to move her around and put her on the defense side. So that kind of slowed us down on the offense. That's one of the things that you need on a team where you can move some players around and everything. And then we had Marcy out of Canada that also came in and gave us a lot of energy off the bench for us. And then we had a bunch of transfers. I could keep naming them. So our grad transfers, they came in with 1 year. Hillary and Naima, both of them gave us some good sparks throughout the year with goals and assists and everything, and did what they needed to do in this year. We wish we could have had them a little longer. I think we would have had a good career with them if we would have had them a little longer. But like I say, we was young. We only had 4 seniors graduating this year.
Let's talk about those 4 seniors too.
Those the 2 of them I just named, 2 grads.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had Alyssa Romero. She was our MVP of the tournament last year. and she started off hurt this year. And that's one of the things. You getting through the season. They want to play so much, and those summer workouts, and we talk about it all the time, taking care of your body, and things like that, and things happen. So so she started off a little rough early season, but she was able to pick it up and start seeing herself throughout the year. And then you had Sanaa Doss, our lone senior that actually the only senior on the roster that actually spent all 4 years here. And so we're gonna miss them. And we just gotta keep pushing and keep grinding and getting ready for next year.
Let's look at, you talk about the injuries and the newcomers of the program. Then you get over into the SWAC tournament. Let's recap the SWAC tournament and talk about that game one. It was a one and done for you guys, but break it down and tell us what happened in that ball game.
Man, to be honest, I told the young ladies before we got into that game that if we get past this game, we got a good opportunity to get back to the championship. I felt going into the tournament that we was on the right side to get to the championship. I felt that we were starting to get some of our players back. We just had to, that game right there was a fast-paced game, and we just had to get through it and everything. And we held our own to the last 5 minutes and everything. That's one of those Grambling games, not just a rivalry. We know them, they know us. And that's a game that's going to stay hyped up regardless. And, it went back and forth. We hit a shot that hit off the pole right before they hit their goal. And, that's what happened. You get your chances, you don't put it in the back of the net. A good team like that going to capitalize. And then that's what they did. And then, and when I say, we had our opportunity to get back to the championship, you go back and look after that, they beat us 1-0 last 5 minutes and then turn around in the semis and beat Alcorn 6-0 and then dominate Jackson in the championship up 2-0. And then Jackson came back and scored one towards the end of the game and everything and turned it to 2-1. So, we had our chances to make it back to the championship. We just, getting back into that groove so late in the season, getting numbers back and everything, and just not having enough in the tank. I couldn't be more proud of the girls at the end of the season. Last two games, last game of the season against Jackson, number one team in the conference. We lost them 1-0 off of one goal. And then same thing in that game. We had two goals hit the pole, and then get to Grambling in the tournament, and we had another one hit the pole. And we played hard. We just didn't have enough in the tank and enough numbers this year because of the injuries. And like I say, we started getting numbers back, but it's just one of them years that, you just can't be enough proud of how they showed up with something happening each and every game, every day. You have to fight. So I'm proud of the young ladies. But, that's one of the things that, we learned this year that, hey, be ready at all times. You never know what's going to happen. Never know when your name going to be called. Never know when your minutes going to go from 10 to 90. So you just got to be ready. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, and that's what some of the players saw, this year. We laugh about it at the end of the season that, one of the young ladies said, Coach, I wasn't expecting to play this many minutes. And then, that's what happened, when somebody in front of you go down, you just have to step up and when your name called, so that's what it was.
As you get ready to move forward to next year, what is recruiting for the next crop, the next group of student athletes at Southern University for women's soccer look like for you?
I don't think too much going to change. We're going to keep doing the same thing, same way. getting some players that first off want to be here. I think this year we had got some players that didn't understand the rivalries in the SWAC and everything. So when we first got into the season, in the conference season, they didn't understand why teams wanted to beat us so bad, why teams, why they did this and why they did that. So, that's the first thing, teaching and getting them to understand the why is so important, to play hard in each and every game. But yeah, other than that, nothing's gonna change. We're gonna still get some transfers. We're gonna get some JUCOs. We're gonna get some freshmen, and we're gonna stay with that mix each and every year. We're gonna bring in some girls, some young ladies in this January, some transfers in this January that can help us now. That we know that can help us now, and be prepared for August, and then everybody else gonna come in the summer, and we're just gonna be ready.
With my man, Coach Jeremy Funno. He's the head women's soccer coach over at Southern University. Coach Funno, man, congratulations to you for another season under your belt, man. And I know it didn't end the way you wanted it to, but nonetheless, I know what you're doing over there. You're building, man, and thank you for coming on this morning and taking the time to have a conversation with us.
Yes, sir. Anytime.
All right, everybody, that's the voice of Coach Jeremy Funno, the head women's soccer coach over at Southern University. Let's get ready to take a break. When we come back on this side, we'll continue more of the Jaguar Journal. All right, good morning, everybody. We're back. It's the Jaguar Journal. I'm Perry White. Glad to have you guys listening. Good morning to everybody waking up this morning, listening across the Baton Rouge capital city area on Talk 107.3, and everybody watching across the world on our Jaguar Journal, YouTube, and Facebook channel. Good to have you guys with us this morning. Listen, as we get near the end of the year, we start to talk about the Red Lobster Band of the Year. That is Battle of the Bands that is coming up. It is the night before the Celebration Bowl, and all year there have been polls throughout the football season coming from the Red Lobster Band of the Year that has been ranking the bands. And their latest poll just came out, and Southern University is number 2 on it. So there's a bright spot and a possibility. You know, when we say start in the A, end in the A, it may not be the football team, but it just might be Southern University's marching band, famously known as the Human Jukebox, and nobody better to talk about it than the executive director of the Celebration Bowl and the MEAC SWAC Challenge, my man, John Grant. Good morning, John.
Hey, Perry, good morning to you. How are you today?
Man, listen, I know you were over there in the Carolinas, man. You got a chance to watch one hell of a football game last night.
Oh, my goodness. Isn't this what you love about this time of the year? I mean, every game matters, and last night, I tell you, the nation was treated to one great football game.
Now, not only was the football teams there, we're talking about the bands, and you're worried about the football and the bands because at the end of the day, you're going to be handing out invitations to the Celebration Bowl to some football teams. In the MEAC, it most likely is going to be next week. Where it will be, we're not sure. Most likely, it looked like South Carolina State or Delaware State at this point. Winner takes all in that ball game. And then, of course, the SWAC championship. But aside from that, invitations will also go out to Band of the Year. 4 bands will be selected, 2 from the bigger divisions, 2 from the smaller division. They will compete in Atlanta the night before the Celebration Bowl and talk about that process this year of the Red Lobster Band of the Year.
Well, you know, first I start with hats off to our committee and led by Dr. Julian White, who's a band emeritus director for Florida A&M, and then Professor Dow Taylor, who's band director emeritus for Jackson State. These 2 legends in the band world and have been leading a committee of experts throughout the season that have been evaluating band halftime performances. This is the Band of the Year is focusing on field marching shows and adjudicating those shows. The committee's done an outstanding job. And so we're now down to November. Just on yesterday, the final 5 rankings came out that's really going to identify the top 5 that the committee will be working on through the weekend to get 2 out of those 5. So the rankings are really designed to identify who the top 5 are. And then there's a process that they use to get 2 out of the 5.
And, you know, you're talking about that top 5. Today is, if it's in the band ranking of what you released, we're going to have a top 5 matchup in A.W. Mumford Stadium with Texas Southern, who's number 5 on your latest ranking, and Southern University, who's number 2. Now, when you have those type of matchups, now I'm going to bring in the football sense of things. Do matchups like that against ranked opponents matter when it comes to judging in the point system?
It does. It's one of the criteria that the committee looks at, and it's something that they call strength of schedule, as it relates to, you know, how often the band is on the road, how many shows are they perform, how many field shows, again, that they're performing, who they're performing against. So, you know, I'm not in the room, but, you know, those guys have, and ladies have the, you know, their matrix and criteria that they utilize. But this is going to be fantastic, this show, this matchup that you talked about today.
Yeah, you know, we often talk about the top matchups like we saw last night with South Carolina State and North Carolina Central in the football. But now, because of this poll, you get these top 5 matchups in band. And if Southern don't have nothing else today, we got the band, okay? So it'll be a top 5 matchup for everybody out there listening. If you want to see some good musicianship from these students today and these directors, with Southern and Texas Southern both ranked in the top 5 of the latest HBCU Red Lobster Band of the Year. And let's look at the top 5, rounding it out. Coming in at number 5 right now on the latest poll is Texas Southern. At number 4, Norfolk State, representing the MEAC. Coming in at number 3, how about the Rattlers of Florida A&M right here in the SWAC? Southern University, Human Jukebox, number 2. And I don't know what's going on right here, John Grant. Number 1, North Carolina A&T. They're number 1 every week. Every time I see this poll, what's going on with A&T, man?
Well, again, that comes back to the committee and their evaluation of the work. But keeping in mind, once you get to the top 5 that we have now, everyone's even.
Yeah.
So how you rank today, utilizing, the ranking process that the committee has, just gets you into top 5. Now everyone's even, and there's another set of criteria that they're utilizing to select the 2. So they'll be working through the weekend because they have to select Division 1, which is the major division. I heard you say Division 2, which is the minor division, as you referred to. And then we also, Perry, have Metro Atlanta high schools. So there are 5 high schools that have made it to the top 5. That'll be 2 of those will be selected as well. So there'll be 6 bands performing on December the 12th in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and each of them trying to take home that national championship. And certainly all the bands that participating are going to get a very sizable compensation for making it.
Now, when you say, are you able to share that when you say sizable compensation for people to have a better understanding of what that is and how the bands are taken care of by participating in this? Because we do know there have been bands that have opted out and said, you know what, we don't want to be a part of this. Do not rank us. But for the bands that will be a part of this, you know, what does that look like for the benefit of being a part of all of this?
So the Division 1 bands are compensated $150,000. The Division 2 bands get $125,000, and we give $10,000 to the local high schools for making it. And that goes directly to the band program.
As we move forward, when would the next poll come out after we get past this weekend?
Very good question. Be on the lookout on Tuesday, November the 18th is when the final 2 from each of the divisions, as well as the high schools, will be revealed.
So how are the high schools? Are they getting voted on themselves? How are the high schools being chosen?
Same process with just a different committee, but that committee is led by the band director at Alabama State.
Okay.
And with him, just like the process is exactly the same.
You know, as I talked about it, man, you get excited in all of this because now we're getting towards the end of the year. I'm just hoping the Jaguars Southern University Marching Band gets into this thing. You know, it would feel good for Southern fans to actually start in the A and end in the A. Southern has a large alumni base and a lot of interest of people who would love to see this band in this competition, especially against a North Carolina A&T who, you know, they don't get to see each other often, but typically when you talk about top bands, that is always the conversation of people saying they love to see a good North Carolina A&T halftime. People love to see a good Southern University halftime, especially by the drills. But then you look at the difference in styles out there. Now, do styles make fights in this one? Like, what styles are they looking for in particular when you're looking at judging a halftime show?
Well, that's a question that really goes to the committee. Again, I'm not a band expert, and I see the rankings when everyone else does, or actually just before they're put out, they provide them, and then we just provide those to HBCU Gameday. So, you know, when you look at and across the board, you think about Professor Dower Taylor spent his years with SWAC band.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Julian White spent his years with MEAC band. So you got, and then when you look down the committee are coming from a diverse background when you think about bands and bands cultures. So I'm not probably the best one to speak to that. And so I try to stay in my lane. But I can tell you there's a lot of work, consideration by people who are very well versed in the aspects of marching bands that I am. But I want to add a point to you, Perry. You just sort of alluded to something, but if you take a list of our top 5 in terms of the bands this year, none of those bands none of those teams are going to make it to the Celebration Bowl. But each of these bands had an opportunity to get to the platform for national championship. So the marching bands are keeping these universities in the conversation for championships. And that is what in my opinion, one of the beautiful things that the Red Lobster Band of the Year does. Your football team might not be the best this year, but your marching band has you in the conversation again for championships.
Well, let me tell you something, John Grant. Come on down to the Bayou Classic and present the Human Jukebox that invitation to the Red Lobster Battle of the Bands at the Bayou Classic. We would love to have you. Listen, if it's Southern and Texas Southern, I'm taking Southern all day, every day. So I'm already looking ahead. Come on down here and hand that invitation off to us while you're having a good time at the Bayou Classic.
You know, Perry, you've been on me about making sure you, as you told me every year, you've been watching that what we call a golden ticket invitation celebration bowl. You know what? I can't speak for the committee and won't intend to, but you see that Southern University with the Southern University Human Jukebox is in the conversation, and so you're really that close, to the potential for getting a ticket to Atlanta for the Red Lobster Band of the Year.
Well, come Tuesday, I hope you book your trip to New Orleans. Come on down to the Bayou Classic. You can present us the invitation at halftime, or you could do it the night before at the Grambling Southern Battle of the Bands at the Bayou Classic. Either way, we would be proud to come represent the SWAC as a participant in that one. Hey, when it comes to Sunday, if we at number 2, I'm rolling with it then. I mean, I'm just rolling with it, John.
Well, you know what? When you talk about the Bayou Classic, you feel like you have a top 10 matchup. You got Southern at number 2, we'll be taking on Grambling at number 10. So that's another matchup that's taking place, down in New Orleans for the Bayou.
Yes, sir. Well, everybody, that is the voice of John Grant. He's the executive director of the Celebration Bowl as well as the MEAC SWAC Challenge. And now this year, as it continues to roll on, the Red Lobster Band of the Year. John Grant, thank you for coming on this morning. As always, it's good to speak with you, and hopefully we'll be talking next week. We see how this thing round out.
Thank you, my friend.
All right, everybody, let's get ready to take a break. When we come back on this side, we'll continue more of the Jaguar Journal.
Parents top 5. I hope I got these right, P.
Yeah, you got it right.
Oh!
Bingo. And let's start at number 5, Delaware State, Scotty. You've been hot on them. You've been telling everybody about them. And Deshaun Jackson and Delaware State survived last week against Morgan State. Delaware State hot right now. 7-3, and they're 3-0 in conference play. If they beat Howard this week, they set up the big game next week against South Carolina State. Winner takes all potentially to the Celebration Bowl. What a hell of a job Delaware State has done in year 1 with Deshaun Jackson. And right now, they're the number 5 best team for me. It'll all work itself out as time continues to progress. Number 4, South Carolina State, the Bulldogs, man. Look, take no prisoners as they beat Howard last week and stomped all over the Bison. Chennisberry and South Carolina State are starting to look like the program we thought they could be, and that they are continuously living up to it. They're 7-3 and 3-0. They get past their opponent this week. Next week, it sets up the big game between 4 and 5 if all is said to go that way. Coming in at number 3, Prairie View, big win this past week over Alabama A&M on the road, only surrendering 5 points. Never have I ever seen it. 7-3, 5-1 in conference play. What a way to shake back after that tough loss against Prairie View. This is a way that you like to see a team respond, and Tremaine Jackson and his team responded by coming back and getting a dominating win on the road against Alabama A&M. Coming in at number 2, Alabama State. They dropped for me because without Andrew Body, I don't know how far this can go. But guess what? It still went in the W column this past week against Texas Southern. Alabama State was able to get it done with a redshirt freshman quarterback. They're 72, 5-1. Defense is shaky for me, though. And at some point, I don't know where that would catch you, but the defense is shaky, surrendering over 400 yards of offense to Texas Southern. But right now, Alabama State is my number 2 team, and then coming in at number 1. They've ascended back to the top. They kind of got shaky the past couple weeks. But Jackson State, I think, back to number 1, 72, 5-1. They handle business on the road up at Itabena against Mississippi Valley. And right now, if it continues to work out, especially with Bethune with those suspended players, Jackson State looks like if things work, they're going to represent the SWAC East. So here's my top 5. Delaware State number 5, South Carolina State number 4, Prairie View number 3, Alabama State number 2, and the number 1 team, the Tigers of Jackson State.
Parents top 5. I hope I got these right, P.
Yeah, you got it right.
Oh!
Bingo. And let's start at number 5, Delaware State, Scotty. You've been hot on them. You've been telling everybody about them. And Deshaun Jackson and Delaware State survived last week against Morgan State. Delaware State hot right now, 7-3, and they're 3-0 in conference play. If they beat Howard this week, they set up the big game next week against South Carolina State. Winner.
To everybody, I am Perry White. Glad to have you guys with us, everybody, this morning, listening on Baton Rouge, capital city area on Talk 107.3 FM, and everybody watching and listening across the world all around the world, and across the universe, the galaxy, wherever else on our Facebook and YouTube. Glad to have you guys with us. Basketball season upon us, just as much as it's football. And Southern University men's basketball team will have a game tonight at 6:30 in the FG Clark Activity Center directly after the Texas Southern football game. And guess what? Who we're going to talk about it with is the head men's basketball coach at Southern University, my man, Coach Kevin Johnson, known as Coach KJ. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Barry. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How about yourself?
Doing great, man. Fantastic. It's a beautiful day on Saturday, and my old coach used to say it all the time. There's no place better to be on a Saturday than in that gym. So
Ain't
we'll get
nothing
a
like
chance to do that later.
Let me ask you something. I got to first check on, of course, I could not go without watching the Arkansas game, but I saw you were out because of an illness. How's everything going with you on your end?
Man, feeling better every day. Looking forward to, to being on the sideline today. I have been in practices with the guys, but coach, there's nothing like games. So excited about getting back on the sideline with those guys.
Let's talk about those first 2 road games of the season. Of course, you went to go take on number 14 Arkansas. You fell short 109-77. Then you headed up to Milwaukee to take on Marquette 100-82. Both programs getting that triple score on you guys. But looking at your program and how they're playing 77 points and 82 points in those first 2 games, your thoughts, especially when you look at that type of competition that you guys went against?
Well, even though you're playing such a high level of competition, there's some really good takeaways from both of those games. And, I like the pace that we're playing at, and, the fact that, we're seeing that ball go through the hole against, a high level of competition. Those are good things, but there's also a lot of room for growth with this team. And we're going to get challenged today. I'd like to see us take a step with our transition defense and then just continue to keep getting better on the defensive end. So, we're a work in progress, and that's what you got to do. You got to come in every day and try to improve.
You returned home on November the 10th to take on Ecclesian. You win 115-51, and then you stay at home today against champion Christian today at 6:30. You're looking at these 2 teams. This gets you an opportunity to work on some things and kind of balance before you guys hit and get back on the road. Tuesday, you're taking on Washington, and then on Friday, you're taking on San Jose State. So, with these 2 games to be able to get yourself back on track, how important is it to be back home for you guys?
Well, it's FG Clark. We have a certain routine that we like when we're at home, and, we get a chance, to do those things and prep for home games. And we don't get too many opportunities to do that. So we really try to hone in on just routine and prep at home. And, that today gives us an opportunity to do. And we're out of here on Sunday morning. I think we have a 5 a.m. flight out of New Orleans for a West Coast trip against Washington out of the Big Ten. And then, San Jose State, it's a program of mid-major that's on the rise. So those two games will be quite for us.
What are you looking for out of your team? And give us some names of some guys, because this team, it looks completely different from what I saw last year, especially when I started looking at the game against Arkansas. But talk about these guys and, and getting them ready to play your level of Jaguar basketball.
Yeah, so we returned 8 guys from last year, and it doesn't matter. You could have returned 13 guys from last year. Every year is going to be different. And so far, what I've seen is obviously, we had an all-league performer, Mike Jacobs, last year, who's up with his game, and I'd like to see him improve in some areas in terms of game management and and awareness and weak side defense. But we've also had some guys injured. PJ DeBow played about 2 minutes against Arkansas, hasn't played since. A.J. Barnes had a heck of a game against Marquette, and he's out for about another week. But, you mentioned these games. It gives us an opportunity to look at a lot of different guys and give some guys a chance to earn a role. But I've been ecstatic with some of our transfer guards. Faisal Shodi, I think, has proven that he can really shoot the ball from the three-point line. I think this team needs that. And then also Rondé Hill is another guy who can make a long distance three. And I'd like to see our big guys step up. We went and recruited Malik Abdul-Gawad and Terrence Dixon Jr. And I'd like to see them get a little bit more production in terms of scoring around the basket and protecting that rim on defense and rebounding the ball.
As you look forward to today's opponent, I always got to open the floor for you to talk to the Jaguar Nation and tell them why they need to come into that F.G. Clark Activity Center the day after that football game.
I think I'm losing you.
You got me? Can you hear me?
Okay, I got you now.
I said, I got to leave you, and as I leave you, I got to open the floor to you to talk to the Jaguar Nation and tell them why they got to come into the F.G. Clark Activity Center today after the Texas Southern football game.
Look, this will give you another opportunity to see this team move forward. We're gonna play an exciting style. The pace at which that ball's coming up the floor, I'm really excited about that, and I want to continue to get better. So we're gonna run it, we're gonna shoot it, and then we're gonna attack. So I think it's a great opportunity for you to come and have a great day of Jaguar athletics. Just come right over from the football game. Just a short walk from Mumford Stadium to the Mini Dome. Come on over and support the Jags tonight.
And if I'm not mistaken, if you have a football game ticket, that gets you entry into the basketball game, correct?
What a treat. And it's like 2 for 1.
I like 2 for 1s, Coach,
Yeah, we'll take it. But come on out tonight. Come early, stay late. Just plan on being on campus all day and have some fun with the Jags.
Well, Coach Kevin Johnson, I appreciate you for coming on this morning. I'm glad you're feeling better, man, and you'll be back on the sidelines coaching this team. And, man, thank you for getting up this morning and rocking with me.
Oh, Perry, anytime for you, my man. I appreciate you having me. So
yes.
You got it.
Yes, sir. Hey, for everybody out there, that's the voice of Coach Kevin Johnson. They're taking on Champion Christian today at 6:30 in the F.G. Clark Activity Center directly after the Texas Southern football game. If you're not doing nothing around Baton Rouge, make your way over to the Bluff to Southern University. Get a chance to watch some football and some basketball and support the Jaguars. Thank you, Coach Johnson.
Thank you, Perry. Go Jags.
Go Jags. All right, everybody, let's take a break. When we come back on the other side, we'll continue more of the Jaguar Journal.
Mic check 1. Lawrence, Mississippi. The jukebox is plugged in. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world? The greatest of all time, the people champion, the world-renowned, the Southern University Marching Band. From Baton Rouge, Louisiana, the Southern University Marching Band is led by drum major DeMarcus, the showstopper heel, all the way back, without the hat.
All right, everybody, we're back. It is the Jaguar Journal. It's the top of the hour. Good morning to everybody out there listening bright and early on this Saturday morning. Glad to have you guys with us. I know it is early, but if you up listening, we appreciate you for every time you get up on a Saturday morning because there's plenty of things you could be doing. But if you tuned in, good morning to everybody on Talk 107.3 FM across the Baton Rouge capital city area and everybody watching and listening on our YouTube and Facebook channel. Thank you. And if you have not done so, keep up with the Jaguar Journal. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on TikTok. We're on X. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel. So guess what? We're across all platforms. We are continually growing, not just as a radio show, but just as an entity known as the Jaguar Journal as a whole, and continue to grow with us. For the young folks, to the older folks, to the in-between, it don't matter. Whatever works for you, we're there. You can find us across all of those areas. And guess what? If you're just old school and you want to cut on the radio on a Saturday morning, we're right here on Talk 107.3 FM as well. So we're glad to have you guys with us. For those who have been listening to this show for over 20 years, thank you for continuously keeping up. As we know, changes occurred throughout the years, different hosts and different things. But now, as we move forward, I'm trying to make sure we on every level that is out there to be able to keep up with the Jaguar Journal. And I know the Jaguar Journal is not for everybody, but I do appreciate you all that do listen, because guess what? Not only is it Southern Jaguar fans that listen, we get people from all across the country, especially from the other schools. You really see it if you watch it on our YouTube channel in our comment section, just the comments and everything that's going on. So we thank you guys for keeping up with us. And as we continue the show today, I got my man, Zach McKennell, a.k.a. Blue, joining me this morning. Good morning, Blue.
Good morning, man.
You know, we're talking about some football, big game today, Southern versus Texas Southern. Southern trying to avoid its first winless home slate since 1949. Blue, what you was doing in 1949?
Oh, man. I don't even think my grandparents were born in 1949.
My mom wasn't even born yet. You know, we're talking a while back, but let's recap last week. Southern goes on the road. Some call it the reservation. Others call it the academic resort. Whatever the case may be, it was Alcorn State University in Southern. Of course, the storyline for many was Fred McNair, former Alcorn State head football coach, two-time SWAC champion up there, now leading a team out of the visiting locker room at Alcorn. And that team is Southern, the team who he beat twice for SWAC championships right there at Alcorn. And I told Coach McNair, hey, man, this just looked different. I never thought I'd see the day you would be on the opposite sideline with a team, especially Southern University being the team. Alcorn gets the victory 35-17. Southern comes out on the first drive, and I thought it was a pretty good drive considering as many third downs that they had on that drive. But Southern converted those third downs, and for once, we saw an offense work its way straight down into the end zone. Southern goes up 7-0. Alcorn State answers back. Alcorn State scores before the half, and after that, it pretty much was Alcorn State the rest of the way in that ball game. The Braves 5 of 13 on third down for 378 total yards of offense, 119 passing, 259 rushing yards on the ground. For Southern University, 5 of 17 on those third downs, 1 of 3 on fourth down. Southern only 11 first downs in this ball game to Alcorn State's 23. Southern 257 total yards of offense, 183 passing, only 74 yards rushing. A tough day for Southern on the ground. Ashton Strother 14 of 31 for 168 yards passing. Then Cameron McCoy 1 of 2 for 15 yards. And then Amarian Ashbury comes in. He gets to start 3 carries for 24 yards. Barry Remo 8 carries for 24 yards. Trey Holly 10 carries for 13 yards and a touchdown. Strother, along with his arm, also added 4 carries for 13 yards with his legs. Darren Morris on the wide receiver side, 5 receptions for 81 yards. And Gerard Hicks, 2 receptions for 31 yards, along with Trey Holly catching 3 passes out of the backfield for 30 yards. And Malachi Jackson with 1 reception for 19 yards. Let's just recap this. Your thoughts, Blue, looking at Alcorn State take off in the second half against Southern University.
Yeah, man. For me, I picked Alcorn to win that game, and mainly it had to do with I just don't, like, I'm going to be honest, Perry, it's going to take, like, a miracle for me to pick Southern at this point. Like, I just don't trust the team to win the game. I think quarterback play's been bad all year. That reared it. Not only did that rear its ugly head, but the run game has just disappeared completely. And I think the fact that they only gave 10 carries to Trey Holly is insane. Now, you can make an argument that he wasn't playing well. I mean, he had, 10 carries for 13 yards, 1.3 yards per carry, and a touchdown. And then on the flip side, man, Southern's defense has regressed this year. I know that sounds crazy to say, Perry, because they kind of started the season off on a sour note anyway, but they've continued to get worse and worse throughout the year. I mean, really and truly, coming into the season, we had a whole preview episode right here, and we talked about all the guys you guys have returning, and Kelby Gibbons and the secondary and all these guys coming back, and all those guys have seemed to get worse throughout the year. I mean, they allowed almost 300 rushing yards last week. Jalen Tolbert's not even a passer, and he was able to find some success through the air at times. And so I think it shows a lot about how the Southern team has just continually gotten worse. I mean, Perry, they only had 1 sack this past weekend against an Alcorn team that has not been great on the offensive line throughout the year. So I just think it was kind of a culmination of all these issues that we've seen Southern struggle with since week 0.
You know, one thing I saw with Southern in this one, you know, Strother seemed to have it going with the passing game with the short intermediate routes. Southern took his shots deep down the field for the explosive plays, but it was just the run game that was not there. And coming into this game, Alcorn State was number 2 in rush defense in the conference. So we kind of, for those who look at that, you knew what Southern was going to get itself into going against this Alcorn State defense. But Southern finding a little bit of daylight here and there in the passing game, but this team still has not put it together fully for 4 quarters. And it seems it has been a pattern for every game this year where the first half, Southern gives you a pretty decent football game that gives you hope. But then in the second half, opponents just seem to wear us down, take advantage of us, and the scoreboard gets lopsided. And we've seen it pretty much in every game this year except that FAMU game where Southern and FAMU went back and forth. But Southern gave up a lead and allowed FAMU to climb back in it and take off to hold on to win that ball game. Now, as we look at today's opponent, Texas Southern, Chris Dishman brings in a ball club that's been hot and cold for me, Blue, as I look at this program, because they surprised me a couple weeks ago out of nowhere. They go on to beat UAPB by 50 points. Then they come back and slow down, and then they lose to Alcorn State. I'm not sure really what you get out of this team. Going back, looking at this Texas Southern team, they gave Prairie View all they could handle in the Labor Day Classic to start the year. Prairie View wins on the last play of the game to beat Texas Southern. But for a second, Texas Southern was right there. They go up to Grambling. They beat Grambling in the hole for Grambling's homecoming. And it's just, you know, you really don't know what you're getting out of this Chris Dishman Texas Southern team.
I just think they're a middle of the road team. Maybe mediocre is the right word for that, Perry. And I'm not saying that disparagingly. I'm just saying I don't think they're a top team in the conference, but also I think there's a clear separation between them and the worst teams in the conference. And so I think that's because, I mean, they've also had some close calls, right? I mean, only winning by 1 against Grambling, winning by 3 on the road in Abino. And then on top of that, too, they only lost by 1 in week 1 against TV. They had a ton of chances to win that game as well. And so they could be 1 game better, but they also could have lost both those other games on the road. And so I'm with you. I don't really know where to put my finger on this team, but also too, the past 2 weeks they had Alcorn, who's found their rhythm a little bit, right, Perry? I don't know if Alcorn's a great team, but at least Alcorn has went the opposite of Southern. I think you could say Alcorn's improved since week 1.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you could say that about Southern and some of the other teams in the SWAC. So I think that's the difference there. Then they ran into an Alabama State team that's been playing really good football, and also too, Perry, and I'm sure Southern fans feel the same way. Injuries have started to kind of pile up for Texas Southern. They were missing a ton of key contributors, especially defensively last week against Alabama State. And that's a really, really tough team to beat there when you don't have your full arsenal of weapons defensively, because that offense is going to put up some points, especially with how good they're running the football right now.
Looking at Texas Southern, who are some stars for this team, and who's some guys that stand out for you offensively and defensively, Blue?
So obviously, I mean, I know he missed some time with injury. I actually think an underrated contributor defensively is Edric Whitley at corner. He's had a really, really good year this year. He's had some outstanding performances. I think he's played really well at corner. 2 interceptions. He was, if I'm not mistaken, on the Aeneas Williams watch list. So I'll be keeping an eye on him. Isaiah Bogarty at safety there leads the team with 66 tackles. So those are some of the guys I would keep an eye on defensively. I think their best talent is probably in their secondary. And then offensively, it starts with KJ Cooper at quarterback. I think he's had an okay year this year. Been a bit up and down, but I thought he's played well the past 2 weeks. He's had roughly about 500 yards passing the past 2 weeks, 4 touchdowns, only 1 interception. I think he's playing his best football. And last week, he finally didn't have a turnover. There was a streak of about 4 or 5 straight games where he turned the football over, Perry. He was efficient last week. He didn't turn the football over. And then Rick Pro at running back is really the kind of key piece to watch for this offense. I mean, 800 yards rushing this year, 7 touchdowns. I thought he's had an outstanding season. Rushed for over 100 against UAPB, rushed for over 100 against Grambling State, rushed for over 100 last week against Alabama State, even in the loss. So he's really a key piece. If he can get going on the ground this weekend, or I guess today, Barry, I think Texas Southern is going to have a really good shot, because this offense seems to go as the rushing games go, because KJ Cooper needs to work off the run. He's not a guy you want dropping back 50 times and just throwing with no support from the run game.
Yeah, KJ Cooper, his athletic ability as a quarterback, of course, he helped break the streak last year. Then injury break that streak against Prairie View for losing over a decade. And then that injury kind of hampered him. And he hasn't seemed like he's been 100% since, has he?
No, I don't believe. I personally don't believe so. But it's funny. I understand why we don't, but I wish we had better injury reports at not just the HBCU level, right, but also the FCS level, because I think there are a lot of question marks about how healthy some of these players may be.
Let's look at today's matchup, man. Give me some keys for Southern University to win this game against Texas Southern.
I mean, whatever you've been doing, do the exact opposite. I mean, Harry, I don't know. Listen, and I know you've watched a lot more SWAC football than me. I don't remember, even me going back and doing my research and kind of catching up on some seasons that maybe I was, in middle school for and stuff like that. I don't remember Southern's ever having an offense this bad. It's hard to watch, to be honest with you. Just in conference play alone, period, they ranked last in scoring offense, last in total offense, 8th in rushing, and last in passing offense. And they have the least efficient passing attack in the entire SWAC. I just can't believe how bad this offense is. And it really starts, if you're looking for a key offensively, Perry, it's run the football, because I don't think they have the talent at quarterback to win a game on with the arm of any of the quarterbacks they have on the roster right now. And your only bright spot's been Trey Holly in this rushing attack. You have to run the football today to get past Texas Southern. That's going to be the key offensively. And then defensively, what Southern has done well historically is rush the passer and stop the run, and they haven't done that this year whatsoever. I think they have to slow down Texas Southern's run game, and they got to get after the quarterback and KJ Cooper, because if you let them get comfortable, it's going to be a long day, and that's going to be the key there for Southern.
The Jaguars trying to avoid its first winless season in A.W. Mumford Stadium since 1949. And, as long as you talk about offense and defense who's been bad, special teams has been atrocious for Southern this year as well. So let's get ready to take a break, Blue. When we come back on the other side, we'll look across the SWAC and see some matchups from last week as well as matchups this weekend. Let's stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back. More of the Jaguar Journal. Everybody, we're back. Good morning. It's the Jaguar Journal. I am Perry White. Glad to have you guys with us. Good morning to everybody on Talk 107.3 FM that are listening. Good morning to you guys across the Baton Rouge capital city area and everybody on our YouTube and Facebook. Glad to have you guys. Got my man Zach McKenna, a.k.a. Blue, joining me this morning, FCS Football Central. Good morning, Blue.
Good morning, man.
All right, we talked about the Southern Alcorn game and then move forward to the Southern Texas Southern game. Now, let's look around the SWAC last week, some matchups. Prairie View goes on the road to Alabama A&M and whoops up on the Bulldogs in front of 1,100 fans. It's nothing they can do, Blue, to tell me they said there was 11,000 fans. I don't believe it. 48-5 was the final score. Prairie View stepped up after that loss against Alabama State and really came out and showed us what they look like once they get into dominating fashion, and they dominated Alabama A&M throughout this ball game.
Yeah, I love what you said about the pitchers, man. They're a little bit too zoomed in for me to give them 11,000. That's a big. I've been to that stadium. It's a big stadium. That was about 15 rows in a very, very big stadium. So I'm not buying 11,000.
What you said, a little too zoomed in for you?
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Listen, I didn't see the top of the bleachers nor the bottom, so I don't know where that picture was taken or how many people were in that picture. But yeah, man, I mean, I think PV. Listen, you can say what you want, and I understand that people keep saying this team is not as good as their record may suggest, but at the end of the day, Perry, you got to give them credit for continuing to win. It doesn't always have to look pretty, and maybe their strength of schedule isn't the best or whatever it may be. But man, this team just finds ways to win, and I think you saw what happens when Cam Peters plays well. I mean, he threw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. Then on the flip side, man, I just think injuries have ended this season for Alabama A&M. I mean, they have lost so many pieces, and I think you can see this offense looks disjointed. The defense was already not playing well, and so I just think this was a mismatch for Alabama A&M.
Yeah, it fell apart for A&M once Cornelius Brown ultimately went down, and he's hit the transfer portal basically saying, thank you, Bulldog fans, but I got to keep moving on. Let's move on to Montgomery, Alabama, as the Hornets of Alabama State took on Texas Southern last week. Alabama State, of course, without their star quarterback, Andrew Body, who had gotten injured against Prairie View, and he sits out, and they start a redshirt freshman in this ball game, and don't worry about it. Alabama State just keeps on rolling. 42-24, Alabama State over Texas Southern last week.
Yeah, listen, shout out to Alabama. Alabama State just keep finding ways to win. You don't have Andrew Body. Defense didn't play the best in the first half period, but they outscored Texas Southern 21-0 in the second half. And that run game has been so good. And also Jalen Jones is unbelievable at wide receiver, man. If they can hopefully get Body back this season, man, how big would that be? And I just think Alabama State, it was a great season, but unless Jackson loses, man, it was all for naught.
You know, if I'm Bama State, I'll call Tuskegee and I cancel that game and say, let's take our chances to the FCS playoff. Is that a possibility?
No. One, that will never happen. Two, they wouldn't get into the FCS playoffs this year.
Bama State couldn't. Why not? If that's the case, would there be a 9-win team, 9-2, getting into that point, 8-2, 9-2?
Well, you also have to look at this. So they did not play a non-SWAC Division I opponent this year. In FCS, like they played UAB, and then their out-of-conference games were what? Southern, Miles, and Tuskegee?
Well, we're trying to get the Tuskegee off there. So it'd be Southern and Miles.
Yeah, so that's your 2 out-of-conference games. How much you beat? What, one team with a winning record right now, which is PV? That's not going to be enough. Their strength of schedule is going to probably be somewhere outside the top 115. And on top of that, Terry, you would have one less game than everybody else because everybody in the FCS playoffs, for the most part, played 12 games this year. You cancel Tuskegee, that will only give you 11 games. And then on top of that, too, you'd be 9-2. But since the committee doesn't recognize Division II wins, you technically be 8-2. How do you compare? Like, is 8-2 any better than 8-4? But the 8-4 team played 2 FBS opponents.
They in a tough spot at Bama State, man. They get those 2 yards at Jackson State. We're talking a different ball game. That 2 yards will have them sitting with one of the best teams they've had in years and may not even make it to postseason play. Man, that's got to be tough for Bama State.
It's brutal, man. And like speaking with the FCS playoffs, the bubble's just so tight this year, Perry. You're talking about South Dakota State right now is on the bubble potentially. Like that's how tight it is because if you remember, they added the Ivy League this year, which means one of the at-large bids got taken away. So it just shrunk the bubble so much. Like we're talking about an 8-4 in Northern Arizona out of the Big Sky potentially not making the playoffs.
Wow. Man, that is tough, man. And could we make a case then if there were no divisions that we would possibly, it really would set itself up for a Jackson State, Bama State rematch since Bama State already beat Prairie View. Jackson State beat Belmont State. I'm moving forward, and I have continuously said this year in and year out, I'm okay moving away from East and West Division, and let's just stack it up and get the best teams. It's going to work itself out, and I think it's already done it this year. I would have loved to see it just work itself out this year, just having the best teams aside from a division.
Yeah, I agree. Now, the people will argue that the two best teams have technically played, because even if you got rid of divisions last year, I'm pretty sure Southern goes to the SWAC championship. And so, like, that would be the pushback there. But this is one of the few years where the second place team in the East did beat the first place team in the West. And so I do think there's an argument for it this year. I'm with you. Listen, I've called for no divisions since I've gotten into the space. And on top of that, Perry, I've championed a 9-game conference schedule. Everybody in the conference is already playing 9 games in conference, because we got like 15 non-conference conference games. So why not go ahead and just expand the schedule to 9 games and have a 9-game conference schedule on a 12-game schedule now for the FCS?
I'm with it 100%, man. Let's move forward. Florida A&M goes on the road to Pine Bluff. UAPB, of course, they got that big victory over Southern. Brought back down to earth, the Rattlers 31, UAPB 28. Lonzo Hampton trying to get something going. Cozy trying to get something going. These are two coaches probably at the end of the year. I don't know, but my best gut feeling is saying that's probably two programs who will be looking for a head coach once this all said and done.
Yeah, this was just two bad teams battling it out, Perry. And FAMU just happened to be the slightly better team. But listen, Cam Peters, man, how about him at quarterback for UAPB? I wish he would have trained. I bet you Southern wishes they would have themselves a Cam Peters right now at quarterback, because that kid is playing unbelievable football right now. But Perry, I'm with you. I think UAPB probably is looking for a new coach. But here's the thing with FAM. I do think they should be looking for a new coach. But what about the AD situation there? I know Angela Suggs got moved to a different role, and they got a different AD now. And I mean, they've had like a million ADs here in the past like 10 years. So I just don't know, is the new AD going to have the support to make their own football hire and make a move right now?
Let's look up in the hole last week. It went down in the hole. Grambling and Bethune-Cookman. Grambling gets the victory 31-23. Cool off a red-hot Bethune-Cookman team who had really been looking good coming to this game. Of course, the brawl we've all been hearing about over the week. But the game had to be played 31-23. Mickey Joseph and Grambling seems to be playing their best football right now after a slow start to the season.
Yeah, listen, shout out to 7-3, 4-2 in the SWAC. I mean, listen, it's been a solid season. Now, Perry, they did play, what was it, like Kentucky State and Langston and all these in all these non-divisional opponents, but man, they've been winning this SWAC like 4-2. They continue to find ways to win. And how about Hayden Benoit? I mean, listen, just what a performance by him. And I do want to correct myself, Perry. I said Cam Peters is Christian Peters for UAPB. I want to make that clear. I was just thinking about that, but
it was two of them. It's Cam and it's Christian.
Yeah, Christian's at UAPB, Cam's at PB. I just want to make my correction there. I said the wrong name, but yeah, Grambling keeps finding ways to win, man. It's unfortunate what happened at the half, man, and I hope that some of these players are able to come back, man, because we've all been there. Perry, me and you have been around the sport a long time, and fights happen in college football, and I really hope none of those guys that got suspended for 2 games were seniors, man, because I think it would be unfair for one moment to end their college careers prematurely.
You know, as we round up matchups last week around the SWAC, Jackson State going up to It'll be in Mississippi, taking on Mississippi Valley. Slow started this one for the Tigers, but they ultimately pull away 42-3, the final score in this one, Jackson State over Valley.
I don't know what you want me to say. They did what they were supposed to do. Nate Rimbert, outstanding wide receiver. Jared Lockhart looked amazing, and Valley is Valley, man. Perry, is this the last year that we're going to have people out here just saying that Valley's going to win 6 games? Like, can we stop with the preseason Valley hype every year finally? Or do you think there's still going to be people out there that are going to think it's Valley's year next year?
Let me tell you something. When Southern went up to Itabena and I was there, I said, you know what? I didn't realize how bad we were as a team at the time. I said, man, Valley looked like they may win about 4 or 5 games this year. Did I not know Southern was at the bottom with Valley at that moment? So I was a little I was discombobulated. I thought because I had never saw us, I thought just maybe Valley had gotten better and it was just them playing up to our level. But no, we were playing down and we're all about at the same level. So I'm with you, Blue. I won't say it next year either. I said it earlier in August, and that was the last time Southern won a game was at Mississippi Valley. Can you believe that was back in August? We in November?
That's crazy.
And if you give Valley about 2 minutes and 15 seconds left on the clock, I really do believe Valley may pull out a victory on Southern. But that's neither here nor there. The Jaguars got the W. It's the only one on the season. We have not won a game since August at Itabena against Valley. Blue, hold on for me for a little while longer, man. Let's get ready to take a break. When we come back on the other side, we'll look up matchups around the SWAC today, as well as talk about that South Carolina State, North Carolina Central matchup last night that could potentially have been the game of the year. So you guys stay tuned. We'll be back more at the Jaguar Journal. Everybody, we're back more to Jaguar Journal. Good morning. I'm Perry White. Glad to have you guys with us. Everybody out there listening on Talk 107.3 FM across the Baton Rouge capital city area, and everybody watching and listening on our YouTube and Facebook channel. Be sure to keep up with the Jaguar Journal on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, X, Instagram, TikTok, as well as Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Got my man Zach McKinnell, a.k.a. Blue, joining me this morning. Good morning, Blue.
Good morning, man.
FCS Football Central. We're talking about last week matchups. We're talking about Southern versus Texas Southern today. And let's look at some other matchups around the SWAC today. UAPB goes on the road to take on Prairie View. Your thoughts on this one? Does Prairie View flex his muscle the same way they did as last week, or does UAPB pose a true threat on the road to the Panthers?
Yeah, I don't think they pose a threat. Maybe that offense with Christian Peters gives them a little bit of some problems early, but I think TV wins this one pretty convincingly, man. That defense is playing well right now. I think that's the difference here at home.
And this what's interesting is you talked about it. It's the battle of the Peters, Christian Peters versus Cam Peters.
Yeah. Listen, we'll see. I lean Christian, but listen, and that surrounding talent ain't the same.
Let's look at Bethune-Cookman traveling up to Jackson State. Now, had Bethune-Cookman won last week against Grambling, this sets up a big game in the SWAC. Bethune-Cookman looked like a potential threat to Jackson State, especially with Jacoby and Morgan going down and Lockhart coming in as the backup quarterback. But Jackson State said, don't worry about it. We run the ball with the best number behind Travis Terrell Jr., Ahmad Miller, Lockhart at quarterback. The receivers, including Nathan Rempert, are still doing what they need to do. What's your thoughts today with Bethune-Cookman, who has players suspended coming into this game against the Tigers of Jackson State?
Yeah, obviously we don't know who's suspended, but I don't think this is a good matchup for Bethune, man. I think Jackson's going to just run the air out of the ball, and at the end of the day, can Ransom beat them over the top? I don't know if he's going to have enough time to. I don't know if Bethune's going to be able to protect him in the pocket, man. I like Jackson in this one.
All the Alabama State fans will be somewhere with a chicken foot, a rabbit foot, or something, with their fingers crossed saying, come on, Bethune-Cookman, beat Jackson State. That's all we need. Let's move forward. Florida A&M taking on Alabama A&M today, man. Both teams, Florida A&M 4-5, Alabama A&M 4-6. I'm not interested in no type of way in this ball game. What about you, Blue?
Yeah, I mean, give me Fam because Alabama A&M is hurt, I guess. Hey, and I do wonder, are we going to get some zoomed-in pictures of the crowd today? Like, are we projecting 2,000 this game?
They better not tell me it was 12,000 fans in those stands, Blue. I'm not buying it.
Hey, Fam might bring a bit bigger crowd than PV did last week.
They just might. On the road up there in Huntsville. Let's look at Grambling going on the road, taking on Alcorn State. Now, this is always an interesting matchup, and it is interesting because Alcorn seems to be finding their stride right now, and Grambling is finding their stride right now. This actually sets up to be a really good matchup today up on the reservation, or as many say, the academic resort.
Yeah, I'm a little interested in this one. Like you said, I think it's an interesting matchup because Alcorn's hot right now. But also, Perry, man, I don't care who they were. I don't care if they were all backups. 18 players for an FCS program is a lot of players. That impacts your depth. That impacts your rotations at certain key positions. Plus, I doubt all 18 were backups or just role players. So I like Alcorn in this one. They're at home. They're hot right now. And then I just don't know if Benoit's ready for a tough road environment and getting it done away from the hole.
Alabama State goes on the road up to Itabena, Mississippi. The Hornets would take on the Delta Devils of Mississippi Valley. Mississippi Valley, the spread is 28 in this one. Does Bama State cover that?
Yeah, I think so. I think Bama State rolls in this one.
And then, look, let's move over to the MEAC because now when we get this time of the year, it's basically like a de facto playoff system getting to the SWAC. I was getting to the Celebration Bowl, and the MEAC is getting down to the wire. Morgan State taking on Norfolk State today. Two teams at the bottom of the MEAC right there.
Yeah, I'm going to lean Morgan here, but I'm not confident in it.
Howard goes up to Delaware State. Delaware State survives last week. Morgan State misses a field goal to win this thing. And there was some penalties down the stretch. It was some controversy, but Delaware State and Deshaun Jackson holds on to win. Is Howard a threat today against Delaware State?
I think they're going to be an interesting matchup, and this is why. They've actually been pretty good against the run, and so maybe they can slow down. If they could slow down that run game just a little bit, man, maybe they put some pressure on Caden Bennett to have to throw. The problem is, man, Howard's offense has been anemic, and I like Delaware State at home to win because of that.
And then last night, Friday, 4:30 kickoff. What you said, Blue, they was watching this game on the East Coast at what time? 2 o'clock yesterday. So everybody in the nation got a chance to watch this game between North Carolina Central and South Carolina State. It was on ESPN2. And let me tell you, one hell of a game. I thoroughly enjoyed this game from beginning to end. And I tell people all the time, hey, if you're a football team and you can take a loss, the way North Carolina Central lost, hey, you just sit back and say, hey, they beat us. Hey, that was a good game. We left it all out there. 34-27 is the final score in this one. South Carolina State stays undefeated in the MEAC play. Chennis Berry has not lost a game in the MEAC in his second year as the head football coach of the Bulldogs, taking on Trey Oliver, who's won, of course, a Black College National Championship at North Carolina Central. These two teams have traditionally been the two top teams with these two coaches who were former coordinators right here at Southern University. Trey Oliver was the defensive coordinator. Chennis Berry was the offensive coordinator, and both their programs look good. And notice I didn't say teams, I'm talking programs, because that's what they built with these two teams. And listen, how about South Carolina State early in the first quarter, towards the end of the first quarter, it was 3-3. South Carolina State scores, Blue, and then they come back and kick an onside kick and then go deep on the very next play. They score 14 points in 10 seconds to go up 17-3. And right when it seemed like it was all South Carolina State and the momentum was headed in the Bulldogs' way, how about the Eagles of North Carolina Central battling back? And what was interesting in this is North Carolina Central's head coach, Trey Oliver, took over the defensive coordinator side of things in this game because their D coordinator was out because he was in a wreck earlier in the week. So now Trey Oliver is not only the head coach, he's the acting defensive coordinator. He dialed up some plays that really put Atkins, South Carolina State's quarterback, in some tough spots. But deep down the stretch, South Carolina State and North Carolina Central battled back and back. And at the end of the game, South Carolina State made the play, get into the end zone. Let's look at this ball game. 24 first downs for the Bulldogs of South Carolina State. They were 10 of 17 on third down, 1 of 2 on fourth down. 454 total yards of offense for the Bulldogs, 314 in the air, 140 on the ground. They had 2 turnovers and a pick six that was ugly in this one, as well as a fumble on the other side for North Carolina Central. 17 first downs, 5 of 13 on third downs, 306 total yards of offense, 218 in the air, 88 on the ground, and they also had 1 turnover. Let's look at William Atkins. Listen, 24 of 36 in this ball game, 314 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Josh Shaw, the running back, along with KZ Adams. Josh Shaw had 10 carries for 83 yards and a touchdown, and Adams had 14 carries for 52 yards and no touchdowns. On the other side, Walker Harris, the quarterback for North Carolina Central, 13 of 31 for 218 yards and a touchdown. And Chris Mosley just was a man out there on that field early on in this game with 21 carries for 105 yards and a touchdown. He just missed that catch at the end on that fourth down, but nonetheless, Blue, one hell of a game, man. I was excited from beginning to end watching this one. The momentum shifts, it was everything you wanted if you're a football fan, of an offensive-minded guy in Chennis Berry taking on a defensive-minded guy in Trey Oliver.
Yeah, what a game. Do you know what Chennis Berry's conference record is over the past 4 years?
Something in 0.
24-0. I mean, that's unbelievable, man. The fact that he's been so good in conference play, and Perry, I don't think we have given Chennis enough credit because everyone just kind of blew it off last year, saying that year one it was, and they gave Buddy Pugh some credit. Man, this year's team, Perry, on paper coming into the year, they had so many question marks, and they had to bring in so many new contributors. Can we just give him a round of applause for what he's done with this roster and that he continues to win? God, what a coaching job, Perry. And Perry, we've talked about this because we've had conversations about Southern's coaching search. You need a coach like Chennis Berry that knows how to build a program, knows how to hit on his evals in the portal, knows how to develop from the high school ranks at key positions. He's checking all the boxes, man. And I look at this game, the biggest thing that stuck out to me, Perry, is you mentioned the momentum swings. And it was South Carolina State's ability to respond to Central's response to them in the fourth quarter in particular, outscoring Central 14-0. Billy Atkins was on fire in the second half. They started to run the football. Josh Shaw at running back was unbelievable in the second half. And Perry, I'm going to be honest, man, it's time to have a little bit of a conversation about Trey Oliver. Not hot seat talk, but, man, this was the biggest disappointment in terms of coaching that I think Trey Oliver's had in his career. This team coming into the year was the only team in the MEAC that checked all the boxes. You had the best quarterback in the conference. You had the best running back in the conference. Your offensive line was the most experienced. You have the most returning starters and significant contributors defensively. Perry, it is now November 15th. It's not even the last week of the season, and North Carolina Central season is over. There's no playoffs. There's no Celebration Bowl. There's nothing else to play for. You're 7-4, 2-2 in conference, and you had the most loaded team that he's probably had since been at Central, and you got a tricky road test next week on the road against Morgan. I think Trey Oliver has to answer some tough questions and really kind of reevaluate what they're doing right now, because he has continued to step up and deliver year after year outside of that 1 year with Davies where they went to the Celebration Bowl.
And what's interesting now, next week is no doubt about it, the MEAC championship is going to be between Delaware State and South Carolina State. This is going to be an interesting matchup. Delaware State has to get past Howard, of course, today. But, man, this sets up a big matchup. And if we thought last night was the game of the year because it gave every feel of that, Delaware State gets past Howard, and this sets up Delaware State versus South Carolina State next week. All eyes will have to be on that game with Chennis Berry versus Deshaun Jackson, man. I'm looking forward to that.
Man, I can't wait. And can we just talk about, can you believe we're sitting here, Perry, on November 15th talking about Delaware State having the chance to go to the Celebration Bowl?
Never have I ever, or never would I ever thought.
I mean, this is literally the equivalent of someone taking the Valley head coaching job and winning the SWAC year one. Could you imagine? I mean, again, and he didn't bring in a transfer portal class like PV did, right, Perry?
Mm-hmm.
He's winning with a ton of players that were there. How was that even possible that they were so bad? And in year one, they changed the quarterback, Perry, with Caden Bennett, and they bring in a handful of contributors, wide receiver and some DBs, and this team flips a complete switch. I would be so interested to see what everyone's opinion would be if they got to Atlanta. But I will say this, Perry, you cannot overlook these Bulldogs down there in Orangeburg, because if there's one thing Chennis Berry is going to do is they're going to be ready to play on the road next week. And that South Carolina State fan base is one of the few fan bases in the MEAC that do travel. You can guarantee that there's going to be some fans making the trip from Orangeburg up there to Dover, Delaware next weekend.
And I don't think nobody ever has said we're going to Dover, Delaware to watch a Delaware State game. But they'll be there next week. And I'm going to be watching on television next week.
Yeah, especially in November, right, Perry? Because you know it's going to be cold in Dover, Delaware on November 22nd.
I like the way things are rounding out. And, of course, we're going to continue to watch how the SWAC rounds out. Of course, all eyes in the SWAC will be on the SWAC East. Can Bethune-Cookman handle Jackson State? Which Bama State fans are just praying is either Bethune or Alcorn. Look, it's dwindling down for Bama State fans to where it's almost looking bleak. Where that championship for them might be just the Turkey Day Classic. And I hate that for them with the type of season that they've had. And with the fact that they beat Prairie View, and if Prairie View wins out and Bama State wins out, Bama State literally is the second best team. But because we have this division thing in the SWAC, it gives Prairie View the nod and Bama State at home. I think if I'm the commissioner and if I'm the president and ADs, we look at this, let's eliminate altogether the divisions, because we've seen this in the past since COVID. The two best teams have been over in the SWAC East when you're talking about FAMU and Jackson State those years. And now when you're looking at right now, it's Bama State and Jackson State. And arguably they could be both 1 and 2 on anybody's poll as top teams in HBCU football. And Bama State handle business on the road at Prairie View to get it done. So, I just hate the situation Bama State is in, but nonetheless, it is what it is right now. Blue, let everybody know where they can keep up and follow you, my man.
Yeah, man, FCS Football Central on the Blue Bloods on all podcast streaming platforms and YouTube. And again, Perry, man, I appreciate the invite. I always love chopping it up about SWAC football with you, man.
Say that the Jackson State fans say they love the division. They like to pick on what they call the SWAC West, right?
Can I be honest with you, Perry, real quick? I don't think it matters. Divisions, no divisions, one division. Listen, Jackson State was winning it this year, so I don't think it really matters.
Man, Blue, appreciate you for coming on this morning, man. Thank you.
Absolutely, man.
All right, everybody, let's get ready to take a break. When we come back on this side, we get ready to close things out. Y'all stay tuned more to Jaguar Journal.
Parents top 5. I hope I got these right, P.
Yeah, you got it right.
Oh!
Bingo. And let's start at number 5, Delaware State, Scotty. You've been hot on them. You've been telling everybody about them. And Deshaun Jackson and Delaware State survived last week against Morgan State. Delaware State hot right now. 7-3, and they're 3-0 in conference play. If they beat Howard this week, they set up the big game next week against South Carolina State. Winner takes all potentially to the Celebration Bowl. What a hell of a job Delaware State has done in year one with Deshaun Jackson. And right now, they're the number 5 best team for me. It'll all work itself out as time continues to progress. Number 4, South Carolina State, the Bulldogs, man. Look, take no prisoners as they beat Howard last week and stomped all over the Bison. Chennisberry and South Carolina State are starting to look like the program we thought they could be, and that they are continuously living up to it. They're 7-3 and 3-0. They get past their opponent this week. Next week, it sets up the big game between 4 and 5 if all is said to go that way. Coming in at number 3, Prairie View, big win this past week over Alabama A&M on the road, only surrendering 5 points. Never have I ever seen it. 7-3, 5-1 in conference play. What a way to shake back after that tough loss against Prairie View. This is a way that you like to see a team respond, and Tremaine Jackson and his team responded by coming back and getting a dominating win on the road against Alabama A&M. Coming in at number 2, Alabama State. They dropped for me because without Andrew Body, I don't know how far this can go. But guess what? It still went in the W column this past week against Texas Southern. Alabama State was able to get it done with a redshirt freshman quarterback. They're 7-2, 5-1. Defense is shaky for me, though. And at some point, I don't know where that would catch you, but the defense is shaky, surrendering over 400 yards of offense to Texas Southern. But right now, Alabama State is my number 2 team. And then coming in at number 1, they have ascended back to the top. They kind of got shaky the past couple weeks. But Jackson State, I think, back to number 1, 7-2, 5-1. They handle business on the road up in Itabena against Mississippi Valley. And right now, if it continues to work out, especially with Bethune with those suspended players, Jackson State looks like if things work, they're going to represent the SWAC East. So here's my top 5. Delaware State number 5, South Carolina State number 4, Prairie View number 3, Alabama State number 2, and the number 1 team, the Tigers of Jackson State.
Parents top 5. I hope I got these right, P.
Yeah, you got it right.
Oh!
Bingo. And let's start at number 5, Delaware State, Scotty. You've been hot on them. You've been telling everybody about them. And Deshaun Jackson and Delaware State survived last week against Morgan State. Delaware State hot right now. 7-3, and they're 3-0 in conference play. If they beat Howard this week, they set up the big game next week against South Carolina State.
All right, everybody. It is the Jaguar Journal. Good morning. We're getting ready to close things out. I'm Perry White. First of all, glad to have you guys with the Southern University last home football game today, and immediately after the Southern and Texas Southern game at A.W. Mumford Stadium. Southern's men's basketball will take on champion, college today, 6:30. So if you ain't got nothing to do, head over there to the mini dome. Let me tell you something. We getting going bright and early. I'm football all day. It's no way the Arkansas Razorbacks come in town. I don't care what nobody say. Let me tell you something y'all don't know about me. This Southern season ain't nothing to me when you talk about where they at. If you can be an Arkansas Razorback fan, I can support anything. I can tell you that right now. Being an Arkansas Razorback fan that I am, I can support anything. I've gone through some down times. Let me tell you something. Do you know how hard it is to be a Arkansas? No, you don't. Y'all don't. So I'm just here to tell you, I think the CIA is doing a mind trick on us to see how loyal can you be to a program. And to be an Arkansas Razorback fan, they tested me. I've been maxed out in terms of how loyal I can be through coaches and down years. So this one Southern season, I may come on here and be tough, but guess what? I can handle that. And today, I'm going over here in just a minute. As soon as I leave the studio, Arkansas and LSU kick off at 11:45. I'm going over to check out my Razorbacks. When they come in town, you know I got to go be there, especially if the time frames permit, and it permits today. And then Southern and Texas Southern, 2 o'clock. So I'm SEC and SWAC football today. I'm all over the place. So I'm leaving Tiger Stadium to go to A.W. Mumford Stadium. So I got a busy day ahead of me, but I'm looking forward to it. My man Mike, hey, if y'all see Mike behind the scene, Mike got on the Arkansas jersey. That's why Mike, my main man. Mike, what you got for him?
Look. Year one of being an Arkansas fan, I'm not a big LSU fan at all. I can, I just work for them, My biggest thing, I'm a Raiders fan, so I'm used to disappointment, right? But this year, it's not more of a disappointment. It's more of a heartbreak defeat. We're losing by 2 or 3 points every good game. It's not like, okay, we're getting blown out. No, we are losing by less than a field goal every single game.
And dude, you saying this year?
This year.
All right, being a Razorback fan for 20 plus years, okay? So just remember that. And look, I wish y'all could. Hey, Mike is Arkansas Razorback down right now. Y'all see I got my red when I leave here. Hey, we going over to Tiger Stadium. I don't care what y'all say. Oh, you talking about you going over there and Southern got a game? You damn right. I'm going to both, okay? I ain't got nothing to do today but enjoy football in both games early. I'll be at home by 6 o'clock tonight, laid out, eating me a Philly cheese steak sandwich or something. I don't know what I'm going to get something good to eat tonight after I'm done with 2 games of the day, but I'm going over to see my Razorbacks take on LSU. And I may be setting a record today. Who else has gone to as many college football games with 3 of the teams with no head football coaches? Huh? Arkansas don't have a head coach. They got an interim coach. LSU don't have a head coach. They got an interim coach. Southern don't have a head coach. They got an interim coach. And if Chris Dishman ass lose today, can I say that? I said it anyway. If he lose to Southern, he may have to be looking for a job, whatever the case may be. I'm looking forward to some football today. And I have dedicated today is my football day. I'm looking forward to it. So I'm headed as soon as I leave the studio. Mike and I, we going over to Tiger Stadium. We about to go to this LSU and Arkansas game. We Arkansas down. Mike got on the Arkansas jersey. I got on the Arkansas polo. We're going to support the Razorback. That's why Mike is my boy, too. And then after the fact, we're going to head over to Southern University and check out Southern versus Texas Southern. We're going to get some SEC and SWAC football. And for you guys that are out there, I hope you guys are having a great week. Enjoy yourself. Be safe. Guess what? It's football in Baton Rouge today. So for myself, Perry White, my man Mike, my man CJ Gidry. Mike's birthday was last week as well. So happy belated birthday to you, Mike. And everybody out there, man, and Coach Funno said his birthday today, didn't he? So happy birthday, Coach Funno. And everybody out there, be sure to keep up with the Jaguar Journal on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on X, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, on TikTok, and everything else. And we'll be back next week at the same time, the same place. As always, it's the Jaguar Journal. Have a good weekend, everybody. What's going on, everybody? I am Perry White. I'm the host of the Jaguar Journal. I want to make sure that you guys tune in live each and every Saturday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 107.3 FM. We also have our affiliates in Alexandria, Louisiana, as well as down in New Orleans. And if you're not able to catch us on radio live, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as follow us on Facebook. It's the Jaguar Journal.